I'm Paul Roberts, and this is Conscious Counseling 101, and we're at the ocean today because Paul writes in and he talks about his obsession with the feeling he gains by having a disconnect or a relief in regards to sexual relations. And he started at an early point in his life, and it's been inculcated in his whole life and his whole pool of ideas and his whole perspective and how he looks at the world. And so I thought I'd come out to the ocean today and take some time to make some symbolic points. We all have different places in our life that we start out. We're all born special and unique, regardless of where we find ourselves placed. We can become, through conscious counseling growth, perspective conscious counseling, anything we wish to be. If we find ourselves troubled by anything in our life, we might reach out to someone like myself and say, well, what do you think? And all I can do is offer perspective counseling. That's what I do. A wise man builds his house upon the rock. The reason why he does this is because he realizes no matter how beauteous and wonderful the ocean can be, and how much we look at it and marvel and see it as a treasure, it conceals all manner of harms. Not only when you're in the ocean, because we don't breathe water, tidal currents can suck us away, all types of rocks, crashed ships, all types of creatures in there. That environment is not hospitable to us, but it makes us marvel. Many people want to take and they want to have their life built on the cliffs, the beach. They want to have their view be of this because we marvel at it and we say to ourselves, this is where I'd like to place myself so that every day the marveling that I do can be a part of my daily ritual. Just like your marveling has been caused by the way you came up. The things that are the most prevalent in your life make you all about those things. Unless you choose to change your point of view and your perspective, your life will always be about those things. Now, I didn't ask your age, but I'm assuming it's more heavily prevalent right now because you're youthful. But you did say you had a wife and kids. So you're old enough to where you've got some of society's responsibilities on you. But you're still entrapped by what your point of view or your perspective creates as a treasure. If we look at this ocean behind me, we see it as a treasure. But if we don't understand the vastness of the heightened conscious perspective of what it is that we're dealing with, we can become entrapped in the two-dimensional view that you're entrapped by. You see the sexual object as just that which it is. But behind that, there's so much more. The reason for sexual things can be the disconnect, can be the pleasure, can be the fulfillment of, look at what's difficult to obtain, but look at what I'd like to have. When you obtain it, you feel a sense of gratification. You feel like that treasure is no longer the forbidden fruit for me. It's a part of my regular life now. I have mastered this and I have enjoyed this and I will continue to master this and enjoy this. But what you don't realize is, if you build your life upon this, where I stand right now, could be tomorrow, could be 100 years from now, could be 1,000 years from now. It's not going to exist. It's going to crash down and fall into the sea. The question is, knowing that, is it wise to build our life's perspectives and mentality on it? Maybe you've heard this before. Maybe I can bring it and anchor it down a little more than some of the people that you've seen with negative ways that they approach you with these teachings. The teaching is that if we build our life on something precarious and we don't respect it, and we don't realize everything that it has to teach us and everything that can make us go through in order to live and cohabitate with it, what we're asking for is disaster. If we build our life on something that is fragile, and I'm not going to say meaningless, but definitely not all comprehensive, then basically what we're doing is we're building our life on something that can never totally fulfill us. It can only titillate us and string us along and provide momentary satisfaction. And in our quest to find greater than momentary satisfaction, we may use something wrong or make it larger in our life than it should be or needs to be. And we spend, as you said, all our time that we can spent serving that, worshiping that, being about that. And the more time that we spend being about that, that's less time than we can spend being about ourselves. So consciously, what you have to say to yourself is, how much am I willing to be about something other? How much am I willing to falsely see something as a treasure when abuse of it is just a trap? You know, my grandmother used to say to me, you shouldn't drink wine and strong drink because you'll become addicted. Or if you're not, someone else will that sees you. I said, yeah, Grandma, I can see what you're saying. But why would things be built that aren't good, aren't for our consumption? Nothing that goes into the mouth can make you unclean, but it's what comes out of the mouth. Impure thoughts or immoralities that can cause you and others that witness what you say to follow your example and lead a life that isn't fulfilling, but only is filled with short little shallow examples of fulfillment that don't comprise a life and will only lead us as time and age and inability to build our life on something stronger. It will only lead us to a more hollow existence than we would have otherwise had if we had a wiser, more full understanding of what our purpose is in life and what we should be doing with our life. If at best you don't throw me away and say, what a fool. And even at worst, if you were joking and yanking my chain and not really wanting this, but just want to say, look at this guy out here offering free counseling, I'll just fool around with him for a while. Even at worst, you can't make the waves come in and take and drive the sand away and cause my cliff or my sand foundation for my house to fall, because it isn't built on that. This is why when I offer free counseling, I make sure that what I'm doing with my time is to provide a video. And others have asked me about these same subjects. And now we have a video that is about this for anybody to see. So even if you go away and you choose to scoff at what I say and devalue it, and you go and live your difficult life on the paths that you've chosen, others will have the opportunity, because of your request, to find another way. And you can find another way too. There's no wrong path. Whatever goes in your mouth doesn't make you unclean. There's no wrong or bad thing in the world. It can be used and abused, but it's not bad in and of itself. It'll just take you down another road. Like for instance, when my grandmother used to say about alcohol and abuse of things like that, I said, Grandma, my grandfather died prematurely. I love my grandfather. He died prematurely because he had a diet of fats and salts, not enough exercise. He had a heart attack. So those things are good that we have on our plates, and our tables, and our kitchens every day, and yet that killed him. And that you talk to me only about the abuse of a few things. No, we can abuse all things. What you want to make sure you're not doing is abusing the things that you have in your life. You want to make sure that your house is not built on the sand, where the waves can rush in and take the sand away and wreck your home and your foundation. You want to make sure that your life, that you value yourself enough to build your life and all the things that you do on the rock, so that when the waves rush in and the difficult things come in life, and you go through life's time and your different phases and the different people in your life won't cause you to be less, to have your life meaningless or worth less than it should be. You are your greatest asset. You're in charge of making sure that your conscious understanding and your perspective counseling that you do for yourself isn't just about what I say here today, but that you're the master of yourself, and you'll go and you'll use these things for your own good purposes and build your life upon the rock of all that is solid and good in this life. Right now, you say your problem is you don't want to do something that's embarrassing in front of others because you can't control yourself. I say to you, those small things can be changed. But if you think those are the problems, they're not. The reason why I came out here today was to tell you and show you and demonstrate for you what the problem actually is, what the conscious counseling solution actually is. And when you realize this and don't scoff it away and belittle what I'm talking to you about, what you'll do is you'll start to see things differently. Your perspective change will cause all the things in your life that you think are currently problems to go away. But the great thing is, not only will they go away and change, but everything else in your life will start to change, because you'll be guiding your consciousness by a pillar of strength, a heightened ability to see things for what they are, and not falling victim to the slings and traps that everything that looks enticing can be. But inside, it's full of all kinds of dangers. When you go and take on a life with children and a family, what you're really doing is you're saying, give me, come what may, all the dangers and traps that beautiful thing may hold. This isn't the best day. But it's still something splendorous and glorious, right? It still tells us, bring whatever you will to me. Come what may. My house is built on a rock, and I will endure it, and I will gain and grow from everything you bring at me. That's what you want to transform your perspective in that guides your life. That's what it's about. It's not about the thing that you wrote in about, the sexual thing. It's not about your early upbringing and how you found yourself there. That's just where you found yourself. That's irrelevant. That doesn't need to stay that way. You can start tomorrow to see things in a different point of view. But you don't just say, how do I keep from doing this? That's not going to do anything about your point of view. That'll fail you. And the titillation of all the things that you think are about this treasure that you want, that'll fail you if you think that you can just find some kind of self-control. No, the natural things that make it wondrous to you are never going to end, and they shouldn't. Why shouldn't you have joy and happiness in the things that you find? But you have made too much of your life about it because of your perspective that is faulty and limited. What you need to do is find a greater perspective that will help you to see everything in a higher conscious way, and then that will help you to gain truth and strength and solidity and build your house on a rock where you can still have the view, but further back a little bit. And when you do that, you can take your time to walk over to the water when you want to see it. You don't have to live right there on the precarious perch where you're always ready to be embarrassed as your house falls into the sea and maybe even suffer difficulties because of your predisposal to structure your life in the way that you did. That doesn't need to be the way you do things. That's what you need to see in conscious counseling. Not what your words reflected in a simple answer. Oh, then just do this. No. You see, you're missing the entire thing of man's purpose in life. And until you become more aware of the purpose in life, you won't be able to solve those little problems, let alone the larger problems that walking down that path is going to do for you. So when you come to me, Paul, my name's Paul, but I'm a different kind of a Paul. I take the time to offer you something that you might not offer yourself. And I do it freely because I believe that anybody that asks is worthy to find. And there'd be something majorly wrong with me if I found some way to hold that back from you, unless somehow you paid or I don't know. But I don't operate that way. I give freely so that anybody, even if they might be yanking my chain or pulling my leg, can find a better existence and a better understanding consciously of what they're going through. That's what I do here at Conscious Counseling 101, and I'll do that for anyone who asks. Because there are many paths in life. You know the path you're on, you're troubled by it, you wrote in about it. Realize why you're on it, and realize you don't have to continue to take that path. Sure, your sensibilities can be a hard time to wash them away. I'm not asking you to wash them away. I'm asking you to put them in perspective. When you're using the sensibilities, enjoy them. But see them as the transitory, passing, titillating experience that they are, and don't assign a greater percentage of value to them than they warrant. And you'll find that you'll be well on your way to living a more solid life on a rock that you can trust, and you'll find joy and happiness that's much more three-dimensional than what you currently are experiencing. And the small problems you think you're having because of the path you're on, they'll also disappear. But it's not miraculous, although it is miraculous. The consciousness is so powerful that it can change everything. The way that you see something with perspective, that you change and alter and are in mastery of, can change your entire life and others. That's what I do here at Conscious Counseling 101. I'm Paul Roberts, and I'll be glad to talk to you more about this or any other subject. This is Conscious Counseling 101.